So I was just reading an article about Labor Day, and a lot of people are nervous that it's going to cause another wave of Delta variant COVID-19 cases. Can't really speak about that, but there is one thing that I want to propose. You see, a lot of people like Labor Day because they get a long weekend, and I like the 3-day weekend. What I don't like is, or that it's not so necessary, is that we have a 4-day work week after that, right? I would rather have 3 days off and then a 5-day work week anyway, right? And you can do that a lot more often if our holidays were structured that way, right? So if you could almost make every week a 3-day weekend if you still worked 5 days anyway, right? I've been proposing that for a very long time. Unfortunately, people get very boxed in with their thoughts, right? So many years ago, I was at a startup company, and I proposed to the team leader, even though I was living in Seattle, which observes daylight savings time, I proposed to my team leader, as a startup, we don't have to listen to that. We can continue to use standard time the rest of the year. Unfortunately, nobody understood what I was saying. It was like I was talking in an alien language when I said that. People get very boxed in with their ideas of how we measure time, with ideas of how we handle our social life, right? It was pretty hard to get anybody to accept social distancing and wearing a mask and all that, right? They get very boxed in with how it ought to be. And so it was very hard to get people to accept that. I'm going to propose an even more radical change to our calendar. You see, 365 years from now, it's hard to imagine any humans still needing to perform any labor, right? Everything's going to be automated, right? And so, why don't we add another holiday once a year, right? So that 365 years from now, we'll be completely emancipated, right? We already did one this year, right, for Juneteenth. I'm proposing that every year for the next 365 years, we added an additional holiday. Now, what are some good holidays we could add? Well, next month is going to be the anniversary of September 11th. That might as well be a holiday. I don't think too many people can disagree there, right? March 11th ought to be a holiday because Fukushima was March 11 of 2011, and then COVID-19 happened in 2020. Well, that was the day that it was declared a pandemic. We ought to have a day to recognize people who are happily single, right? I usually celebrate it on June 13th because that's when I had my first major breakup and I realized how happy I was being single, but it could be any other day, right? So I think the only president who was single his entire life was James Buchanan. We could celebrate it on his birthday or whatever anniversary he decided to celebrate. I don't know what his birthday is. I don't know when he decided to be happily single, but there might be an anniversary involved, right? Every time there's a solar or a lunar eclipse, that ought to be a holiday because people ought to be able to appreciate that we're not alone in the universe, right? Oh, the first human in space, right? I think it's April 12th, depending on what you define space to be, right? I tend to think of low Earth orbit as just being a high-flying plane, right? So the first humans in space were probably Apollo 8, right? Under my definition, at least. But I'll let you decide. Anyways, there are a lot of things to recognize, and I think people will appreciate the world we live on a little bit more if every day we're reminded about something we need to, some culture or somebody that we need to celebrate. And 365 years from now, we ought to be free anyway, right? So why don't we add a holiday every year? Thanks for watching.